My name is Dustin.
And my name is Jessica.
We are the Popcorn Poops. Here at Popcorn Poops HQ, we produce a movie podcast and commentary track hybrid that may be synced up to whatever film we're talking about or enjoyed as a standalone audio program.
Today, we will be watching the 1991 film Hook, directed by Steven Spielberg. If you are syncing this up to the movie, go ahead and press play and then pause immediately after the TriStar Pictures logo fades to black.
It's time to start the film. Syncers, press play at the beep after the countdown. Ready? 3, 2, 1. And we are rolling. So this is a movie that I have watched probably, like twice a year since it came out, because I'm a really big fan of this movie.
Are you serious?
Yes, I've seen this quite a bit.
That's a lot of times.
Maybe not twice a year, at least once a year. But you haven't seen this since when?
I don't even know. I mean, I was a kid. I'm sure I was a kid the last time I saw this.
Wow.
It's been a long time since I saw this.
Yeah, I like a lot of the movies that we're probably going to end up doing on this podcast. I know probably too much about Hook, more than I should, and it's certainly, to some it would be considered too much because this is considered to be one of Spielberg's lesser works, which I don't really agree with. I really like this movie more than I should, more than is reasonable, I think. But you can see that we've started, and the Banning family, which includes Robin Williams, played by a man who will eventually come to discover that he is Peter Pan. Spoilers. They're watching a school production of Peter Pan that their daughter is in, playing Wendy. And later we will meet the actual Wendy, the real life Wendy, so to speak.
So in this world, Peter Pan lives in a world where the story of Peter Pan was also created as a play,
yeah,
novel. So like it's the same world, but
they explain it.
Okay,
they explain it in kind of
a really long time since
they
I've
do.
seen this.
They explain it in a throwaway line when after the Banning family goes to England. But I believe it's Wendy who says that, after they had been going to Neverland for so long, their next door neighbor, Mr. J.M. Barrie, or Sir Barrie, would write down their stories. He loved them so much that he took all of their stories and he wrote them in a book. And
I see.
Thus, the recorded stories of the real life adventures of Wendy and Peter Pan and the Lost Boys and whatnot.
But it doesn't actually, match up for the times or anything because if they were going on these adventures and the real life, well, how old is the real life Wendy in this story?
Like 92.
Oh, okay. So
and
then I guess
and the movie
it could.
came out in 91, so I don't think that you could do the exact same thing now.
Right,
maybe.
Because the times wouldn't match up for it to work. So it essentially does work because
or you just extend the time that they're in Neverland, because that's essentially why Peter Pan is younger than Wendy in this movie, is that he spent more time in Neverland than Wendy, so she got older and he didn't until he ended up in the real world and allowed himself to grow up. But we can see, as in the end of the last scene in the play, where he took a phone call and scheduled a meeting for the day of his son's big game, we see that Robin Williams' character is kind of a neglectful father, which I think is something that Steven Spielberg really loves to work with. It's no secret.
Did he have a neglectful father? Is that why?
I don't want to misspeak about something that's so serious, but I believe it's known that Steven Spielberg did not have a very good relationship with his father. I feel like that's a thing that's known. I think it is. But if it's not, I apologize to Mr. Spielberg and
Okay, they just did a Wild West, pull out your massive oversized cell phone as fast as you can thing.
They sure did.
That was something.
It sure was. This sure was made in 1991.
Man.
Those big Motorola cell phones.
Man.
And that was the expensive kind that actually was kind of a flip phone, but it was still very big and clunky. And that Sony Handycam. You can see who paid for this movie, really. In this scene, I don't know who it is exactly, but one of Dustin Hoffman's now 6 children, he has 6 kids. One of his kids is one of the little leaguers in this game, and I don't know who it is. I don't have a clue. But Robin Williams' character has sent someone from the office to videotape the game so that he won't miss it. Oh. And he's on his way, though. Now, I don't know why this movie is set during Christmas, except that it came out at Christmas. So does that make it kind of a Christmas movie by default? I think a lot of movies probably do that.
Pretty much, to me, anything that has any element of Christmas whatsoever in it is a Christmas movie. So
yeah, well, I mean, you look at a lot of movies, like I think Home Alone is a good example. They incorporate the Christmas idea into that movie a little bit better than this, for example. But there's a lot of movies that don't necessarily need to be at Christmas, but they are. Die Hard. There's a really good one.
Isn't that your favorite Christmas movie?
I have said that. That is a thing that I have said before. But yes, Robin Williams has showed up, and there's no one at the baseball field. They're flying Pan Am, which is kind of yuck. They're flying Pan Am. Get it?
Okay, get it. Peter Pan.
The real joke is that Pan Am actually went under as a company the exact month that this was released in theaters.
You serious?
Yes.
Wow, that sucks for them a lot.
They've hinted at it a little bit
I mean, could it have anything to do with like the turbulence that they're showing in this film right now?
You know, that's
making people not want to ride on their flight.
That's a really good point.
And the daughter drawing pictures of planes crashing. These are not good images for an airline to have.
Well, at least she didn't write Pan Am on the airplane. I've never noticed that she has like
her dad doesn't have a parachute in the picture she drew.
She has oh yes, they're not on good terms. Or her and her son, or Peter Pan. I'm going to call him Peter Pan. That's it. That's where it starts. He's not even Peter Pan yet. Peter Pan is not on good terms with his son. And you can see they
oh, okay. The son drew the picture.
Yeah, the son drew the picture. They hinted at it in a previous scene, but the character of Peter is indeed afraid of heights, and he's afraid of flying, which he's made fun of a little bit later by Captain Hook. I mean, it is kind of the irony. The irony.
Right, no,
Peter
but it's
Pan's,
fun though.
Sure, yeah,
it's fun.
They're playing with a little bit. That's fine. I get that. As I understand it, this young actor who did not do a whole lot of stuff grew up to be a conservative, like lawyer or politician of some kind. I think that he was recommended actually by the Obama administration, despite the fact that he's conservative.
The kid?
Yeah, the kid.
This kid?
I think his name is Charlie Corsmo or
he
something
has
like that.
a really memorable face.
He is. He's in a couple of things. I wish I could remember one of the other things he's in, but I can't.
As much as I don't remember so much about this movie, I remember him. He something with Hook, like he becomes Hook's like adopted son or something like that. And I remember him in the Hook costume, like with the big hair wig, hat.
His name is Charlie Corsmo. Yes, he was in Dick Tracy. He played the son in What About Bob? Ziggy.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, he does have a totally memorable face, but too bad I couldn't remember the things he's actually in. Yeah, they have arrived in London, and it is in fact snowing. And I feel like the Christmas theme, they probably tied it in for the release date.
Grandpa just slammed the door on their face. That was really nice.
It was a great moment. That's Toodles. He's one of the Lost Boys from the original play and book and movie. But I think they probably set it in winter because
Toodles, is he the dumb one?
They're not the seven dwarfs.
No, but they do, like they're very like classic figures. Like there's one that's really dumb, and then there's one that is like the oldest of them and the best looking of them.
I don't recall this right here. This shot right here. This is a one take shot, like through these rooms and into the house. Clearly a Steadicam thing, but still kind of, admirable that they did something that artistic. It's like,
Are they?
we're
I
just not
wasn't
going to cut. We're going to
really
keep
paying
this.
attention. Are they in London?
They are in London. They are. And like I was saying, I think that they probably set it around Christmas because the book is set at a time in London when there's snow. That's a thing. When the Darling family, when the parents leave the kids in the nursery at night. This is in the original play and book, mind you. That when they leave in a couple of feet of snow, so they're kind of having to waddle through it as they leave their children behind for Peter Pan to come and spirit away to Neverland. And we get our first look at Maggie Smith as Wendy. And she is just as old as she ever was. But truth be told, she was only 56, I think, like 55 or 56 when she made this. And they had to age her up with makeup.
Wait a minute. She's
McGonagall.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. She's looked basically the same
For like how long?
forever. She played.
So she's been old for like
you've
her
seen
life?
Clash of the Titans, right? The original Clash of the Titans.
the original?
You've seen that.
Yeah.
She plays Hera.
Wow.
Yeah. And she doesn't look much different except her hair is like a kind of an auburn color, or maybe she was a redhead. I can't remember. But yeah, she's and now that she's actually getting close to the age that Wendy's character actually is in this movie, which I think is 90 or 92, I think. She still pretty much looks like this. She's going to be in a film coming out that I just saw the trailer for, coming out this year, called My Old Lady. And I was just like, yeah, that's Maggie Smith. That's how she's always looked to me in my head for most of the time that I've been alive. I was born in 86 and this came out in 91. So like this was probably my first exposure to Maggie Smith and Robin Williams, for that matter. This was probably my first exposure to Robin
Really?
Williams.
I mean, I don't. I
And
say that
maybe
not
Dustin
knowing
Hoffman.
what I saw him in before, but
Yeah, she's very good in this. Of course,
this
she's very good in
the
everything.
showing Wendy immediately raises one of the. I don't. It's not I guess saying issue is a little too strong because I don't. The story of Peter Pan is not really a story that I have ever gotten obsessed with like I do with other stories. I've gotten pretty obsessed with the Robin Hood story. I've gotten obsessed with Alice in Wonderland. I've never really gotten into the Peter Pan story. I've never read the book. I've never read the original play even. I've never even seen a production of it. But one of the things I think that always kind of just messes with my head about it, one of the reasons I veer away from it, is I'm kind of turned off by the idea that he has had this similar romantic, not romantic relationship with all the women in this family throughout the generations.
Well, no, not Moira's daughter. Moira is his wife, who is the granddaughter of Wendy. So he didn't have that relationship with.
Well, okay. I'm talking more about like in the play and in the book. What I
But it is the same way in the book, because at the end of the book, he does take Wendy's granddaughter back to Neverland.
Jane, right?
It's not Jane. I think her name is Margaret.
And no, that's her granddaughter.
So
Okay,
I think
so
she
in
ta- I
the play,
think he
in the play,
Yeah.
in the play, he goes the mom's name. Okay, in the play, what's the mom's name?
I'm not sure what the mother's name is. I know that Wendy's mother's name is Jane. Mm-mm. Is it not? I thought it was.
Mary is Wendy's mom.
Okay.
He takes Wendy.
I thought you weren't really into
No,
Peter Pan.
no, I'm not. But I did some research on the play because I was trying to remember what I knew from a child.
Okay.
As a child. Okay, so Mary is Wendy's mom. And there is apparently in the play there is a moment that sort of lets us know. It's like after he brings Wendy back home at the very end of the story, there's a moment that lets us know that Wendy's mom, Mary, probably knew Peter Pan as a child because she's kind of affected when she sees him or when Wendy comes back.
I'm reading the book right now, and I can maybe see that. I know that at least in the book, Peter reveals himself to Wendy's mother before Wendy ever sees him.
And that's how he loses his shadow, right?
Right. When he shows up for the very first time, the kids aren't in the nursery. It's just Wendy's mother and Nana, the dog, and Nana grabs Peter's shadow, I think, and it gets stuck in the door and, gets separated from him.
So,
but I don't know if they haven't yet implied, and I'm only like 3 or 4 chapters in, they haven't yet implied that Wendy or Wendy's mother had any other history.
As I understand, it's at the end of the story, at least in the play. I don't know about the book, but at least in the play, it's toward the end when Wendy comes back from the adventure. We're given a hint that probably means that Wendy's mom went on adventures with Peter Pan when she was a kid.
Okay,
and then
I thought it was Wendy's granddaughter.
Wendy's
That's what I thought I read.
daughter is Jane, and he takes Jane to Neverland, and then later he it's like an afterthought in the play, like an afterword,
right.
And they don't always use it. He wrote it later.
By the way, this scene is really great. I just wanted to mention that while it's still happening. Well, his wife is kind of telling him that he's being a dick, and there are only a few short years with your kids where your kids want to be around, you as a parent. And he's missing it. That's how she says it to him. And it's really kind of heartbreaking.
Super depressing.
But yeah, back to what you were saying about.
But so I know in this afterthought, in this afterword that they sometimes do at the end of the play, of the original play, they say explicitly that he goes back, he finds Wendy grown up, and he's really upset, but then he takes her daughter. And then later the same thing happens to Jane, and then later the same thing happens to Jane's daughter, Margaret. And they even say, I guess, Barry pointedly says at some point that this is a cycle that's supposed to continue as long as children are innocent.
Okay.
Or something like that. It just, I always got a explicitly romantic feeling from Wendy. Well, very much so.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, I think this film kind of strengthens that feeling. It absolutely reinforces the feeling that Peter and Wendy had. She even says something in one of the after the kids get stolen away by Hook. Wendy, in the scene that she tells Peter, who he is, that he is Peter Pan, she says something along the lines of "No girl held your favor like I did," or something like that, or something along those lines, which is very, very clearly implying that they had some kind of romantic relationship.
Well, as I remember from the story, at least I think I know the animated version better than anything. And
you probably know it better than I do. I haven't seen it that much.
I watched it a few times as a kid, and I definitely remember that if nothing else, she was so jealous of the Princess Tiger
Lily, yeah.
Right? She was really jealous of her, and then Tink was really jealous of Wendy, tries to kill her even.
That's right.
And so it definitely was a romantic thing for the girls, but there was never that romantic feeling from Peter, which I guess has to do with the fact that he never grows up, that he's never, that all these women who are involved in his life, they are growing up or they have grown up.
Yeah.
Or
it is a little skeevy.
But
it's a little skeevy.
He never does, so he never feels romantic about them.
I mean, that's just the implication, and I don't think that it was explicitly implied. They did something a minute ago that I think is a little funny, and I don't know that it lands the way the movie thinks it should land. But you know how in the story of Peter Pan, they talk about kisses and whatnot, and a kiss is actually, in the Peter Pan story, it's like, I'm going to give you a kiss. So they give them a thimble, and the thimble is the kiss. It's like, oh, I gave you a kiss. Well, I will give you a kiss, and they give the thimble back. Do you remember that at all?
Vaguely, yeah.
So Peter's daughter, Maggie, said that she made him a hug, and what she made him was a parachute. So kisses are, this little prayer that she says, the night lights protect my sleeping children, burn clear and steadfast tonight. That's right out of the book. There's a few lines from this that are basically right out of the book, of course, as nods. But yeah, I think that's kind of funny as like a kid's thing that's like, well, we're going to take this thing and make it a little bit more innocent, even though a kiss and a hug is not,
Right, yeah.
terrible.
It's super racy, right?
Yeah, it's not super racy. They're going to make it even more innocent by being like, okay, well, a kiss is a thimble, so what's a hug? Well, what does he need? He needs a parachute, so he's not scared to fly on a plane. This is kind of a touching moment, but I don't know when you're going to feel the fatigue set in. I don't know if you will. For me, this movie is so familiar to me that I don't really feel fatigue watching it. But everything up to Neverland, it takes like 40 minutes or 45 minutes or something just to get to Neverland in this movie. And this is a long family film. It's like 2 hours and 24 minutes long. It is really, really lengthy. And I'm not sure why they're setting all of this stuff up. That's one thing that...
Why they spend so much time.
Yes. Every time I've come back to this movie, every year that passes and I get, a little bit more critically minded and I understand storytelling in film a little bit more just by, kind of the accumulation of knowledge and experience. Every single time I come back to this movie, I wonder critically why they're doing all of this in the first place. Why are they setting this up? They're at a banquet for the expansion of a hospital that they're dedicating an entire wing to Granny Wendy for her, philanthropic work as a caregiver of orphans, or a caregiver.
Sure.
One that cares for those
orphan children.
But I'm not sure why they're setting all that up, because it ends up not mattering at all. It doesn't move the fact that he's there talking is the only thing that moves the story forward. What he says there doesn't, And that in that moment right there, if you listen carefully, the dog actually does say hook.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like the last 2 times he barks, it turns from a dog's bark into hook, and then Toodles starts repeating. And we get a little shot of the Jolly Roger model inside that.
Is this dog supposed to be Nana?
I guess, which would mean...
I always loved Nana in the the animated one with her little... Doesn't she have like a little hat that she wears?
A little nurse's hat.
Oh, she's so cute.
How old is that dog? Like, I don't know if I like the implication either way that the dog is, maybe almost 100 years old, or that they keep getting new dogs of the same breed and just naming it the same name just to pretend like the first one never died. I don't know if I like that. This moment right here where the wind blows and the doors blow open and we don't get to see Captain Hook yet, but Captain Hook has arrived to take the kids. The moment that Peter and Moira get back, there's a shot through the house of them, and I'll just say it when it gets to it, but it's an amazing shot. It's probably my favorite moment in the entire movie.
I love the kids' bedroom in this house. It's definitely a bedroom that I would have loved to have when I was a kid. Now, granted, I never would have ever wanted to ever share a bedroom with my little brother, but as these kids are doing,
very much a nursery.
But
I guess no one sleeps in there.
What?
Because they're visiting. So
all throughout the rest of the year. Yeah. Well, I mean, these people clearly have a lot of money. You can tell by their clothing.
You can tell by the dead thing draped around old lady's neck.
And the size of the lady's earrings.
So this scene right here, there's a particular shot that I really like. There's like candle type lighting, like going up the stairs. But as they walk into the house, they try the lights. Lights don't come on. John Williams' score is swelling and kind of meandering in the background, squirming like musical worms. And
And
than
then
this.
the hook.
The hook scratch where he has scratched the wall, just a line all the way. That's the shot right. Or no, this is it. Yeah, the candlelight following it up. And then Liza's performance here. The wind came up, the door closed on me, and the children were screaming.
It's fantastic.
It's great. He shot this like a horror movie. Like that moment right there is so great. And the lighting, like the underlighting with the candle on her face and how she's just leaned against the wall. It's so over dramatic. I love it. And that nice little matte painting back there. And then the reveal of the dagger-bearing note that Hook will refer to at the end of the movie.
Note-bearing dagger?
Dagger. He refers to it as a dagger-bearing note at the end of the movie, but note-bearing dagger, I don't know what's holding what.
I mean,
what
the dagger is holding the note into place, so...
Yeah, that's true. I don't think Hook says it that way, though. And then this is obviously not from the book.
Oh, wait. So is Wendy married to this...
No. No, they mentioned that he was... Wendy's first orphan. That's how they explain it. But Toodles was one of the Lost Boys in the original.
I know. I read that in the...
Cameo by Phil Collins.
That's
totally
weird
and out of place.
Very weird. I know that I read that Wendy... Eventually, she took... Okay, so all the Lost Boys went home, and her mother adopted all the Lost Boys, except for Peter Pan, of course, because he was like... Screw that! I don't want to.
I don't think she adopted all of them because I think some of them are still in Neverland, or in the movie at least.
In
the twins are still in the movie.
They're still in Neverland.
In this movie, yeah, in Neverland.
In the play, as I don't know if all of them go back with Wendy, but I think all the main character Lost Boys go back with her, and her mom adopts all of them, and then Wendy grows up to marry one of them, but they never say specifically which one it is that she marries, but she marries one of the Lost Boys.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Of course, there are apparently a lot of versions of this play because he just kept changing it over and over and over again. Yeah, like
well, I know that the title of the play changed. It was originally called Peter and Wendy, and then eventually it became Peter Pan. But I don't know how many.
And there were. I know one of the first titles for the book was. It was pretty great. The Great White Father.
This, by the way, this prop book right here that she's got, it says Peter and Wendy on the cover. This prop book is actually...
Is it an original?
It's an original first edition 1911 printing of the novel.
Oh, cool. That's a cool prop to have.
Yeah. It's not even really a prop.
It's just reality.
That is a precious piece of printed literature right there.
Please be careful.
Yeah,
you should have gloves on. So one of the working titles was The Great White Father. And
referring to
I don't know. I don't know. And Peter Pan or the Boy Who Hated Mothers.
Whoa. See, okay.
And the publisher was like, and he was like, okay, the boy who couldn't grow up. And the publisher's like, wouldn't grow up.
I expected you to alight on the church and forbid my vows on my wedding day, is what she says. And the way she's touching him, they're absolutely implying that they had some kind of romantic relationship. But of course, he doesn't remember this, and he's really, really uncomfortable. But hearing that title...
See, this is the kind of thing about this story that just bothers me. It's upsetting to me.
It's creepy, you mean?
It's creepy and it's upsetting too. It's upsetting that this character, I don't think I like the character of Peter Pan. As much as I am all about the, fantasy hero guys swooping in and doing fantasy hero stuff and whatever. Like, I just don't think I like Peter Pan. I don't like how he has all these women who are following him around who are romantically...
Well, he's not... I would say that this movie does something to Peter Pan that I don't think any other version of the story has done, or any spin-off, if you will, of the story has
But
done,
that makes him
makes
grow
him
up.
makes him a dynamic character.
Yeah.
It makes him change. Because does Peter Pan change in the original story?
No, he just goes back to, I don't want to grow up,
I'm
and he just flies away.
I'll take you home, but I'm going back to kill pirates. And
you go do all that lame, grown-up stuff.
One of the things that I really like this movie for, because I like it for a lot, is its ability to sell these moments. And I think the hook scene that we just saw a minute ago with the scratch all the way up the wall through the house, this is another moment like that, where again, John Williams score, which is probably one of my favorite. I mean, John Williams has done a ton of stuff, but this is one of my favorite of his scores, even though it's part of something that is considered to be a lesser of Spielberg's works.
So I guess in this depiction of Peter Pan, basically we have a guy who just becomes obsessed with whatever he decides to do. So if he's gonna be a boy, then he's gonna be a boy forever, damn it, and he's never gonna grow up. And then when he does grow up, then he's like way too grown up.
Like, I hate childishness and kid stuff, and I love scotch. Yeah, he's kind of frumpy. I think he never stops being frumpy, even when he becomes Peter Pan. I think they try to make him not look as frumpy, but even in his little raggedy green earth tone clothes, you're like, I don't know about that, Robin Williams. Some of the original casting choices in this movie are things that I would have liked. I like Robin Williams in this movie, don't get me wrong, but he was originally supposed to be played by Kevin Kline, who is, at this time at least, was a lot thinner and kind of has a boyish quality to him, but can also play like sophisticated and grown up and whatnot.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, then we're talking about a character that in theater is traditionally played by a girl.
Absolutely.
And not that,
women.
I mean, we're doing a realistic version of this, so we play it as, we have a man cast as it, obviously, but I would kind of like it if it was a guy who was a little more,
feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Robin Williams is totally not at all even a little bit.
I do love the Disney animated film of Peter Pan, but I'm probably, at least in my early childhood, I was probably a lot more familiar with the televised and then later published on video stage play version of it, starring Mary Martin. I think it was Mary Martin. And of course, Mary Martin playing the role of Peter Pan. And I really, really loved that. And as a child, knowing that this was a sequel to the Peter Pan story, in my mind, the Mary Martin version, the televised or the filmed stage play, was the first film version to me. Mm-hmm. Like, this was a sequel to that and not the animated Disney version, somehow. But, of course, we've got Julia Roberts playing Tinkerbell. She's fine, I guess. She's fine in the role. I'm not the biggest fan of Julia Roberts. She's never blown me away in anything. Like, I've never seen something and been like, man, Julia Roberts is just
I like
amazing.
her, though. I think she's cute.
She's got a very... I mean, she is. I think she even starred in a movie called America's Sweethearts or something like that. But she is very much kind of the American sweetheart kind of thing. I feel kind of the same way about Sandra Bullock. And until Gravity, I was just kind of lukewarm on her. I'm like, yeah,
I don't know. I've always
she's
liked Sandra
charming.
Bullock.
Like, she's a good actress and whatnot. But man, she's good in
But I was like in junior high school when
Gravity.
Miss Congeniality came out, so that was all like, just geared right toward me.
Indeed, the Mary Martin version of Peter Pan was made in 1960, and here's a picture of, just for your reference because you're sitting here. That's a picture of Mary Martin And I think she's, even in that
wow.
photo, very Peter Pan-esque.
Yeah.
You know.
Because Peter Pan, in my image of him, has to be kind of, what's the right word? Androgynous? Is that the right word?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I mean,
I think he is supposed to be kind of like a fairy, and I don't mean that in the the derogatory, like.
no, like
I mean,
literally,
like
of the Fae,
like
right?
like sprightly. Can
Yeah.
you say that? Sprightly, and we've got another cameo coming up right here, which you would never be able to tell unless you had places like IMDb to tell you, but. The people that they fly over here on the bridge that are kissing, and they get sprinkled with pixie dust and start floating because that's their happy thought. They must be happy. That's actually George Lucas and Carrie Fisher making out on that bridge.
Really? That's kind of weird
It's random, isn't it?
and weird.
It's something I've known about for a long time, and I'm just like, yeah, George Lucas and Carrie Fisher. But you're right. Why? I do like this effect here, where it
looks surprisingly good.
Right now. You just wait.
Oh, okay. Is it gonna get bad?
As you get the shot of like Neverland, which is kind of this island, and the image of Neverland. I don't know if there was a painting, like an official painting that was done for Barry, years and years ago, but Neverland has always looked the same in all of these.
Hey, there must have
versions of
been
these
something.
stories. There must have been something where he like detailed exactly the geographical limitations, if you will, of what Neverland is, because it's just an island.
Yeah.
So this is Neverland, and how long are we into the movie? Okay, 36 minutes. It took like 35 minutes to get to Neverland. But pretty soon, over the course of the next almost 2 hours, if you think about the first 30 minutes of the movie, what was the point of all of that stuff?
What happened? I'm trying to remember.
What happened that drove the story forward in a significant way?
They were not in London, and then they went to London.
They spent a whole scene sitting around with Phil Collins playing the police guy so he could be like, oh, maybe that it's a prank because, of the history of the family and, with the story of the Peter Pans and all that. Mm-hmm. Just totally unnecessary. One of these pirates is, I think it's the one that was closest to him, the one with the long blonde hair, is Jimmy Buffett.
What?
There are so many ridiculous, unnecessary cameos in this movie.
That is so weird. Why?
We'll get to a really strange one that I don't think you know about later, but one of these guys is Jimmy Buffett. I couldn't really recognize Jimmy Buffett on sight, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think it was the one with long blonde hair and no beard. But this is I don't know. What do you think? I'm going to ask you from a completely unbiased
Are you related to
or,
Mighty Mouse? That was the
That sure was a joke that he tried there.
That was just
I want you to
golden.
take a good look at these sets though. And you don't have to answer right away, but what do you think of Neverland and how it's portrayed here?
So far?
I mean, you can take a little bit. This is a great moment. Where he growls. A passing pirate's like, "How you doing?" "I'm pretty good.
Pretty good.
How are you?" "I'm not bad." Like that's just how pirates communicate, I guess. Oh, here he is. This is Bob Hoskins, Super Mario himself, playing Smee, and one of my favorite roles of his.
The Captain
look,
Hook
guys.
music is.
Look, it's hookers in a family film.
Oh, yes, it is.
Kind of like Beetlejuice. But unfortunately, Bob Hoskins passed away this year.
This set kind of looks like a Disney theme park.
Is that a compliment?
I mean, if I was there, then yeah.
And here's the ship. This ship was apparently a big deal. Like, they built the entire thing.
That's cool.
They built the whole ship, but one unfortunate thing that you'll probably notice is that you never get a really good wide shot of the ship because it filled the entire soundstage, and they just simply couldn't get away from it. They couldn't get far enough away
That's too bad.
to shoot it the way they wanted to, which is a shame. This shot right here with all the flashbulbs going off was a one-take shot because they were using a bunch of like rare, hard to find flashbulbs from a series of different kinds of cameras to get that kind of colorful, varied lighting effect. So they had to do that one little shot in one take and hope that all the bulbs went off the way they wanted them to. And Smee's little joke here goes over their heads at first, and then he tells a dumber joke and they laugh. It's pretty good. But the other really weird cameo is coming up here pretty soon when he comes out. But here is the introduction of the titular character, ostensibly the most important character in the movie, if the title is to be believed.
Right, even though it took us 40 minutes to get to him.
Right. This is Captain Hook, played by Dustin Hoffman.
I love the way he twitches his hook as they chant, like in rhythm with the chant.
Yeah.
Hook, hook, hook.
He does have a couple of little twitchy things that happen to him. That is kind of
He's a great Hook.
He's excellent.
Like he is
just flamboyant enough.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm assuming that you haven't watched over my shoulder any of the time when I've been watching Once Upon a Time. The ABC, terrible.
I've seen The Hook.
Okay.
I've seen, yeah.
So basically, and I guess I've only seen like the first 2 seasons or so, but when I'm really bored, I'll sit and watch it. And apparently, Peter Pan shows up in the 3rd season.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I haven't seen him. But I have seen Smee and Captain Hook, and basically Captain Hook is just Johnny Depp from Pirates.
Sure.
Like that's it.
Why wouldn't he be? I mean,
like even the music and stuff when they have him on a boat, it's like that. Like when someone's trying to make money by putting out a song that is just the right number of notes away so they won't get in trouble for copyright issues.
I love the stares here. Where's the carpet, Smee? Oh, it's nice. That's a good little touch. But yeah, I mean that show really stinks to me of it's just to make as much money as they can.
Absolutely.
And just stuff it full of characters who have no business.
But like
being
I
in there.
don't
This is the cameo, by the way. I'm going to ask if you could guess who this is.
For some reason I feel like you've told me this before.
This is an actress.
That's what I was going to say, is it's actually a girl, isn't it?
By the name of Glenn Close, who probably most famously played Cruella de Vil in the live-action 101 Dalmatian movies. Which is such a... Again, like Jimmy Buffett, Glenn
Weird.
Close.
Just weird.
Why? I mean...
Glenn Close as a man.
Like, of all of the people
With a
of
beard.
the people that have been in this so far, like
I remember
cameo-wise...
that. Putting the scorpions in the bucket with her.
I don't know that...
Him.
Him. I don't know that there are any scorpions in the world that are dangerous enough to actually kill somebody. I think it would just hurt a lot.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I always assumed they could kill somebody.
I'm probably wrong. But of all of the cameos in this movie so far, they're all weird, but the ones that make the most sense are George Lucas and Carrie Fisher, because George Lucas is good friends with Steven Spielberg. He's worked with him on, several projects over the years. They went to school together, and Carrie
what was
Fisher...
Jimmy Buffett doing? Like, what was that?
I don't know. Was he just
like,
around that
he
day?
was like,
Was he
"Oh,
shooting
hey,
a music video like
man.
a lot over or something like that? I'm here. Give me a wig. It's so weird. And there's another musician cameo coming up. David Crosby's in this from Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and a solo artist in his own right. There's lots of little moments too that I like this. Like he's talking about how he's got his medical history, his dental records, and all this kind of stuff. And he asks, and Smee, while Peter's denying all this, Smee is like, "You trying to put me on a job? What's the matter with you? Just shut up while I'm doing this." It's there are lots of little moments like that, but I feel like this was, the late 80s and early 90s was really the start of family films that kind of injected some more like under the radar adult type stuff that, adults could appreciate. And then like basically every family film that comes out now is just loaded with adult type humor that no kids will get. That's, maybe even sometimes a little bit racy, but like it's so over the heads of kids that it can, bypass the, the MPAA ratings board and whatnot. These little glasses are just ridiculous. I don't think he puts those on again for the rest of the movie, which is a shame. It is a shame.
I don't know. I always there's something to me like when movies. Is that the pirate that was that Jimmy Buffett again?
I don't know. Where, that one?
Yeah.
No, that's not Jimmy Buffett.
I have no idea what he looks like actually. So, there's something to me about kids movies, and this one is more, I think, not so much a kids movie to me. I don't picture this as just a kids movie.
No, it's a family film,
right? But kids movies that intentionally do stuff that is over kids' heads. Mm-hmm. So that parents can get a laugh out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something in me that doesn't like that.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's not to say like, oh no, I don't want my kids accidentally hearing something about sex when it's not like that. It's actually more of almost the opposite kind of thing where I think it's belittling to children.
Okay.
To assume that they couldn't possibly understand. Because when I was a kid and I heard those kind of jokes in movies, there was a part of me that knew that it meant something.
There was something else there that you weren't getting.
That made me a little uncomfortable, or that, Yeah,
it's like the movie has suddenly taken a break to stop talking to me.
Right. And kind of, it belittles children.
Oh, there he is. There's David Crosby. His one line, "Save me, Daddy."
And just like in children's books, the one thing that's going to immediately turn me off of a children's book is when it talks down to kids, when the author writes down to a child.
Right.
And that's kind of the same feeling I get when a movie slips in things that are, this is for mommy and daddy.
Right.
It's the same exact feeling to me where I'm just like, no, you were supposed to make a movie for them.
But I think that there are some writers, and of course there are writers and filmmakers and studios entire studios in some cases that have a better grasp of how to balance that to where it doesn't feel like I feel like Pixar is really good at that.
Yes.
I feel like Pixar can inject jokes into their scripts that only adults will get, but not because kids shouldn't get it.
Right.
It's
exactly.
just that they can't yet.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But like Looney Tunes does and stuff. Like Looney Tunes
were made for adults when they were made. I mean, originally. But I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying. Like there's a quality about Looney Tunes that appeals to children, and then there's a completely different quality that appeals to adults.
I love, shows like that are clearly made for adults, like what's the new one we were watching? Rick and Morty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love that. You wouldn't let a kid within 100 miles of that TV show, but I love that show and I'm happy for it to exist. But I feel like I like it in part because it is separated from kids. There's nothing in it for children whatsoever.
Yeah. So Hook has just sentenced Pan to death and says, kill them all. He wants to kill the kids and kill Pan. He's canceled the war. His plot for revenge has been foiled because Peter Pan is a fat lawyer. And this is a great little moment right here. When Hook is like, don't point a gun at my face. But Tinkerbell is now trying to convince Hook that Pan can be a worthy opponent if he just has some time, and she will train him and teach him how to be the Peter Pan that he is meant to be. So, of course, he's going to accept, and then the story takes off. What story there is, which is it's basically just this. It's 2.5 hours of Peter Pan hanging out with the Lost Boys and figuring out what's broken in him, rediscovering his childhood or rediscovering childishness or the innocence that he's lost in becoming an adult because adults are bad or something. I mean, adults, that's kind of a rule of Neverland, is that if you're an adult, you're a pirate. And pirates are bad. Right. Therefore, adults are bad. So, when I think too hard about what this movie is trying to say, the surface level stuff is really, really easy. It's really, don't lose your childhood innocence and stuff like that. But when I think a little harder about it, I'm like, but the implications of what Neverland is, I don't know. I think it gets a little bit muddled. I don't know that this movie really has a clear message. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You seem distracted by the mermaids.
I'm distracted by mermaids, giving him air in this very sexual scene. I'm also distracted by these poor girls having to wear these seashell bras and how they are attached to their lady parts. I'm not really sure. And I'm assuming they probably came off a lot while they were swimming and it was just a real pain. I mean, they look really awful.
I get that the mermaids are a nod to the original story and they kind of shoehorned them in there. But like that, as a kid, that scene made me uncomfortable because like I understood that even though they're just giving him air, the scene is sexually charged.
Yeah, well, and even he's like, whoa, and like looking at their boobies and stuff.
Like, okay, whoa. I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah.
But
see, this looks good. This wide shot of
it's kind of
Neverland. I mean, he looks bad there.
That looks he looks totally out of place.
Yeah.
But the matte painting is nice. Yeah, as a kid, it made me uncomfortable because I'm thinking to myself, man, he's got a wife back home. And
see, that's what I'm talking about with this story, is there's just that all over it. Like, even Tinkerbell this.
They never address it, but yeah, like Tinkerbell kisses him.
In this version of it, yeah.
Tinkerbell uses her one wish, as though that's a thing, to become big-sized, I guess...
To seduce him or something,
to try to seduce him.
I vaguely remember.
And she kisses him, and he remembers his wife. Now that's toward the end of the movie. That's right before the last act kicks in.
This is what I'm talking about this story. Is it's about
they never
this
directly
guy.
address it, but Peter Pan is totally a player.
He is. That's what I don't like. Is that you've got all these women who are romantically invested in him, and he is not romantically invested in any of them. In this version, at least, he is with his wife, we can assume. But he doesn't, all these other women.
Right. He doesn't really show interest in another woman because Tinkerbell does kiss him.
Right. But we're still talking about a story where he's basically doing the same thing. He's oblivious to it.
Right.
He's, what? Why is Wendy talking to me like this?
You're the Lost Boys.
Oh, by the way, with Wendy, before I forget, do you know that the use of Wendy in the play was probably the first time that Wendy was ever used as a first name?
Really?
It was not a first name that people used.
What about like Gwendolyn or stuff like that?
They're saying maybe like came from something like that, or from Wanda. Wanda was a throughout like very ancient history. Wanda's been around.
The Lost Boys hideout is so like late 80s, early 90s. Oh,
yeah, it is. Look at his hair. Oh, man. That's just something.
One of the really funny things to me is, not just funny, but really interesting, is that if you look at the costumes of the Lost Boys, a lot of them, there were like a mix mash of different things going on,
some
obviously.
Some of them look like Boy Scouts.
But some of them are really obviously kids taken out of different times.
Oh, really?
Like you've got the Boy Scouts and you've got like little sailor uniforms and you've got like page boy hats and stuff like that. Like these are kids that were, it's supposed to be 1991. It's supposed to be the time period in which this movie was made.
Yeah, there's like a kid over here with a top hat on.
Right. So these kids, you can assume, were all pulled out of different time periods.
Yeah.
Which is in and of itself kind of
cool.
an interesting story that doesn't really get explored at all, but the production designer was smart enough to hint at that. Although their method of transportation around this hideout is not the most practical thing, like it's designed to be a skate park, which I guess if you're a kid, what's a cooler way to get around your hideout than
they just used
skating.
a squeaky voice when
they did. He got shot in the nuts.
And they did a helium voice. That was real classy.
This is one thing about this movie that I have come to learn, despite the fact that the beginning, it takes way too long to get to Neverland. It's like 36 minutes before we're even here. I do realize that I think I like the beginning better than any of the stuff in Neverland. Like I love the setup. Like I love how it, tries to really sell you on the reality of this world.
Oh, I love that the flowers are smelling him.
Yeah, we gotta.
Except I don't love them smelling his crotch. That's really weird. Man, that's just.
Yep. But I do. Despite the problems it kind of causes, like I think the beginning of the movie is really, I think it's the beginning to a better movie about Peter Pan.
Better than what we got.
I think it's a beginning to a better movie than what we actually got. I mean, because they spend that time.
This is so 90s.
With the
skateboarding.
half pipe. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Dear.
They spend half an hour. They spend more than half an hour telling us, no, this is for real. Peter Pan has grown up and he does serious stuff and he has kids and he's a really bad father. And Wendy is a wonderful lady and a philanthropist, and orphans are these really sad people that owe so much to her and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, wow, this is, heavy stuff. I believe it. I believe that all of this stuff is real. And then they're like, just kidding. Here's a cartoon. And that's what this is. Like, these sets look like sets. There's so much color, and yeah, it's supposed to look like there's a lot of color, but it doesn't feel real. Even though the movie really, really wanted us to feel like this was real. So I guess Rufio probably came out of the 80s, probably the recent past.
I mean, I guess so.
As a punk.
If he's dressed like
or
this.
Something. This was a reverse shot. He had to move his lips in a way that would be correct when they ADR'd it later.
Well,
when they recorded
he did
over.
A good job.
He did all right.
Because I never knew that was a reverse shot. They were too scared that he would actually hit Robin Williams in the face with a sword, so they did it reverse.
Right.
Aww.
What was that noise? Oh, good for Robin Williams that he didn't get his face hacked up.
I mean, it's obviously not a real sword.
What do you call this haircut? Peter calls it a skunk head or something like that. A skunk. He calls him a skunk head with too much mousse, I think.
Okay,
or something like
that's one way to describe it.
I mean, it's not really a mohawk. It's a triple hawk.
Oh, that's right. I love this part. I remember this. The one little boy who stays with him.
So one of my friends from college.
Oh, so cute. I remember this.
One of my friends from college went to an acting workshop that was conducted by this actor right here.
By the kid?
This little boy. But he wasn't a little boy when he went to it.
Right, I would assume.
But this is another really great moment in this movie.
Oh, yeah. I remember this. I love this moment.
I mean, if I wasn't talking...
He up his face and stuff.
He tries to, push back the wrinkles and stuff like that. Pushbacks the wrinkles. He's trying to push back his wrinkles and all the flabs from age, and eventually sees Peter Pan. If I wasn't talking over this scene right now and my attention wasn't divided, this is a scene that brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, really sweet.
I mean, this kid just does such an incredible job too.
Yeah, he sells it. He's got his performance is a little bit uneven.
There you are.
Yeah,
It's so cute.
great. And then
Oh,
Thudbutt's another one. The big fat boy.
yeah.
The look on his face is just like, yeah, that's good. No,
Yeah.
I do like that moment a lot. And then Rufio starts yelling, and the little boy has to deliver some lines, and his acting is a little bit uneven. He goes from like kind of being sweet, and then he like gets this attitude where his head starts jiggling around. It's great. But yeah, man. It's stuff like that like I watch this movie and I'm like, oh, this is ridiculous, and I wish that they
This kid
didn't
is
do
wearing
it this
a
way.
midriff.
Well, it was the 80s were just barely over. As much as I complain about stuff in this movie, it's moments like this that just bring me right back, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I still really, really
Yeah.
love this movie. I can't help it. I know that had I been older when this came out and I watched this, I'd probably be like, piece of shit. Oh, it's dumb. I hate it. I don't even like Peter Pan. Who's Peter Pan? I don't care. This was interestingly enough, this project was started in the early 80s by Steven Spielberg, working with his writers, another filmmaker by the name of Nick Castle, I think, and the guy who ended up writing the script. What's his name? I can't remember his name.
The interior of this boat is also awesome.
James
the food
Hart.
spread and everything.
But this started as Steven Spielberg wanted to make just a Peter Pan movie, just a live-action Peter Pan movie. I don't think he wanted to make it a sequel at the time. And it was supposed to be a vehicle for Michael Jackson. Like, Michael Jackson was going to play either Peter Pan or Captain Hook, probably Peter Pan. And he was also going to provide music for the I know, right?
No, I kind of
then-
want to see this movie.
I kind of want to see it too.
Like, I don't want to have to sit through the whole thing, but I want it to be there for me to watch clips of.
That's
on the
another
internet.
one. I love that Smee is taking bites, and you could say, oh, he's taking bites because he's testing it for poison or something like that, but I don't think that that's implied at all. But he takes a bite of every single thing he puts on
Yeah.
Captain Hook's plate. Epiphany what? I've had an epiphany. Epiphany what? And then in a minute, Smee tries to say epiphany, and he says something else, but I won't spoil it. Yeah, so I guess Michael Jackson was.
Oh, that's right. When he
originally-
gets dramatic
Oh yeah, this is an attempted suicide
and
scene
he goes
in
to
a,
end his
in a
life.
family picture. Yeah, you couldn't get away with this these days. You absolutely couldn't.
You don't think so?
He says the word suicide. He says it. It's not just a goofy thing. Like, this is another really great moment. Don't you dare try to stop
No,
me, Smee.
not
Don't
again.
Try to stop me. Don't try to stop me this time, Smee. Don't try to stop me this time, Smee. Don't you dare try to stop me this time, Smee. Try to stop me. And he nods, and Smee's like, what's going on? What do you want me to do? Smee is very, very much caught in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. He said it. He said, I'm committing suicide. You could not get away with that in a kid's movie these days, I don't think. Do you think you could?
I don't know.
I feel like you
I
couldn't.
don't know. I guess not. I don't remember the last time.
You call this no adventure. That's a great line.
I don't remember the last time. Not that suicide should ever be a funny thing,
Right.
but the last time that it was ever mentioned in any kind of media and it wasn't like an outreach to prevent suicide in some way, I don't remember. Like seeing this happen on here and seeing someone make a joke about it.
Yeah.
I guess I haven't seen that since this.
I'm so glad that Dustin Hoffman ended up getting this role because apparently David Bowie was going to do it before. which I think also would have been kind of cool.
I can see that,
Yeah,
though.
I absolutely
can totally
could.
see that.
Just rewatched The Prestige for the first time since it came out, and David Bowie plays Tesla in that. And
Oh, really?
yeah, you don't remember that?
Uh-uh.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the drawers of all the same shoes.
He only has one outfit, but he wears it every single day. This moment right here, when Smee puts the glass down and he has a ding and he sits upright, and the line is what he said. Do you hear what he says? He says, "I've just had an apostrophe."
I just had an apostrophe.
I think you mean an epiphany. Lightning has just struck my brain. Well, that must hurt. The back and forth there, I love it so much.
That's great.
This is another one of my favorite scenes. Man, they are Dutching the hell out of these camera shots. Do you see this? They Dutched one way, and then they're about to Dutch the other again.
They're doing what? I'm sorry. What?
To Dutch the camera is to tilt it.
Oh, to tilt it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like as he walks from the bar toward Hook, it Dutches back and forth, tilts back and forth to 3 different Dutches. By the time he gets there, this is gross. He uses his earwax.
Oh, that is really gross. Nice. That's nice.
It is.
Touch.
It's a nice touch, but it's gross. I wonder how much of a nightmare it was to shoot this with all of the mirrors that the set dresser decided
to make sure that
decorate
his
this
face
set
is...
with. Yeah. This is just... And Dustin Hoffman, I believe, is an Academy Award nominated, at least maybe Academy Award winning actor for some really, really great highbrow kind of stuff that he's done. I mean, he was in Marathon Man with Olivier, which there's actually kind of a funny behind-the-scenes story regarding Hook that ties to that. And of course, The Graduate and stuff like that. Like, he's a brilliant, brilliant actor. But I think this might be my favorite performance.
But he's so great. He is Captain Hook.
Yeah.
He is.
He is definitive. He is the definitive Captain Hook.
Like, I'm pretty sure that,
he's in the Peter Pan, making of Peter Pan movie, Finding Neverland. You saw that, right? Super tearjerker with Johnny Depp and Kate Winslet.
I at least was around when someone else was watching it. I don't know if I ever sat down and watched it.
It's a super tearjerker. But Dustin Hoffman plays the theater owner in that, I think. It's been a while. I don't even know that I've seen that all the way through. So were the seasons
in Neverland, was that like a snowy area?
Yes.
On one bridge, and then the bridge right next to it was in the middle of fall?
Yes.
Okay, that's cool.
And it's just in the Lost Boys lair, as I understand.
Yeah, see, this is like snowballs and...
From what I've seen of some of the wider shots, the Lost Boys hideout is just situated around a giant tree. And then they all live up inside the tree. And I think our cat wants to be on the podcast. This is a fun little scene. So we got a training montage.
Yeah.
Which is, nice and rocky of them. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
But they gave him a really, really big sword to try to fight Rufio with.
His pants fell down.
This is amusing because, and it's really still really jarring to me to see Robin Williams without any body hair, because he is famously an incredibly hairy man.
Yeah.
And he had to shave for this movie. He had to shave his arms and his torso for this. Horsey's
Bugs birthdays gum.
He's trying to think of his happy thought. Yeah. This kind of stuff. And I guess that's...
Tink happy thoughts.
Tink happy thoughts.
Candy.
Yeah. That's a fantastic painting, and I wish I owned it. I want the painting of Captain Hook.
Lesson 1. Why parents hate their children.
Oh, the apostrophe that Smee had was to make Peter's kids love Captain Hook.
Right.
So while he's waiting on Peter Pan, he's going to maybe intensify his, planned revenge on him by not only defeating him in the Lost Boys in battle, but also proving that he is the better man by making his children love him instead of Peter. And it's not going to work on this young lady, but it totally works on Jack because
because Daddy missed his baseball game.
Yeah, it's the wound is still pretty fresh.
And he was, wanting his dad to fall out of the plane without a parachute before, so.
And I'm just going to say it. Captain Hook kind of has a point.
Yeah, true.
He kind of does. He says stuff like, they tell you stories to shut you up and conk you out, and when they were young, they were free, but when you were born, it became all about you, and it's just about you now. Which is sort of true. Not that parents don't love their kids and love that their lives become their kids, but it is kind of true, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, as a couple that does not have kids yet,
right?
But I would be surprised if we didn't have kids someday. I mean, we talk about that all the time. That when we do have kids, that's what life will be. Then it's.
And I mean, like I've accepted that.
And that's great.
Yeah.
And that's it's just a different phase of your life. You become different people, but the people you become are people who
you become parents.
Right.
Yeah.
You aren't.
You go from whatever you were before to parents.
To parents, right. So.
And Smee gives her an F by just writing a giant F on a piece of paper, and she freaks because she's a kid.
What?
We're teachers. If you wrote a giant F on a blank piece of paper in front of a kid and just said, you got an F, they would flip, no?
Yeah, probably.
But this...
I mean, mine wouldn't because, mine would be like telling me what sound F makes and being proud to recognize what letter it is, so...
I think Dustin Hoffman works in this role because he can be really charismatic and like really down to earth, but he obviously also knows how to chew scenery and just make the biggest performance that he can possibly muster. And that's those have got to be fake teeth. Look at those things. Oh, do you remember this scene with the food?
This is the scene that is this movie to me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is the thing that you think of?
When I think of this movie, I think of this scene.
Probably true for a lot of people. It's very, very memorable, and there's some kind of good lines.
As
a couple
a
of
kid,
really obvious jokes, but
as a kid, this was the scene that made me want to live in Neverland.
Yeah? So that you could pretend to eat food?
It's not pretending to eat because when they believe it, then it's really there.
Or all of these kids are starving to death. Except for Thudbutt, who's finding food somewhere.
Oh.
Or maybe he has a thyroid problem. I don't know. I have no idea. Everybody say grace. Bless this, O Lord. Grace. It's a nice little moment. All the steam comes out and there's nothing there. And the fake eating is I mean, it is what it is. It's fake eating. It's them
Right.
them filling their cheeks with air and going, oh, good food. Yeah. And you remember what the scene devolves into, right? Like how the food appears.
Yeah. Wait.
What happens?
What?
Do you remember?
Peter, I don't know. He believes there's something, and
He
then
does.
He
does. But it starts as an insult war between Rufio and Peter.
Oh, and then he throws some fake food.
Right.
And that's when it appears.
And some of the insults, I think some of the insults cross the line that you talked about earlier with like jokes that go over kids' heads. But maybe it doesn't cross the line because I think they make a point to show that it goes over the heads of the Lost Boys even. Like he says something to Rufio and Rufio doesn't understand it and he takes offense to it because he he knows it's got to be bad, but he clearly doesn't understand what it is. And then some of the stuff that Peter says probably goes over the audience, the kids in the audience.
But
as
like
well.
I said, this movie is I don't classify this as so much of a kids movie that it bothers me when there are adult jokes in it, because this is a family movie. It's a movie that's supposed to be for kids and parents. I'm talking about like when like cartoons and stuff that are distinctly for children.
So they just use their catchphrase "bangarang."
Bangarang.
Bangarang is a Jamaican slang that means an uproar or some kind of disturbance. And oil dripping, beef fart sniffing, bubble butt.
Good insults. Cock on mouth.
Peters get pretty good. Rufio doesn't do anything for me because, I'm not 5 anymore.
Right. And, someone telling you that your cat vomit is just like, that's okay.
But yeah, some of these get pretty good. Substitute chemistry teacher.
That's good.
And that's the one where some dude is like, come on, Rufio, hit him back. What's up? Math tutor. Prison barber. Nearsighted gynecologist. Oh my God. Oh, that's the one. Lewd, crude, rude bag of pre-chewed food dude.
And then
Bangarang
he's 5 years
Peter.
old. Right.
Yeah.
No, I like nearsighted gynecologist. That's
He has to deign to their level. I think he makes some of the kids sick. Like maybe I imagine this, but maybe one of the kids.
Peter Pan envy.
Yeah. That's another one. I think he says something that makes one of the kids fake puke. Maybe not. No, maybe we missed it. I could have sworn that happens. And then poor Rufio trying to cheer for himself. No, it's not banning. It's Rufio. And then the food scene starts. So they eat, and then they insult each other, and then he throws food at Rufio, and then they eat some more when it's real. And then, of course, there's a food fight.
Right, of course.
Because why not? Because if you can imagine all of your food into existence, then why not waste a bunch of it?
Yeah, no, this meal is like the best looking meal in the whole world. Like whipped cream pies.
Are those just turkey legs, or is that a turkey with like 18 legs?
I don't know. It looks like a turkey with like 18 legs. Why are there all these vegetables, though? These kids don't eat that.
It would be called a never turkey.
Chud butt?
Thud butt.
Oh, okay.
It's Thud butt brand cheese.
Okay.
I hope he doesn't make it. Yep. Thud
And
butt.
just candy, just piles and piles of candy. The whipped cream pie stuff is what really just... Like
That's
still,
all it is whipped cream pie.
But I mean,
food
like, I
coloring.
love whipped cream, so I'm still okay with it. I'm still okay with just having whipped cream pies.
Drink your pawpaw. What is pawpaw? Whatever it is, it's bangarang.
It's bangarang. There's way too much, like, looking at this as an adult, there's so much fruit and vegetable on this table.
That was really important to set an example. Eat your veggies and your fruits, and also throw
I
them
think there's
at
a
your
watermelon
friends.
on the table that it's not carved, but it just is a face, like somebody's face.
Mm-hmm. What is Peter even wearing right now? He's wearing a burlap sack. Yeah, Julia Roberts kind of got a bad reputation on this movie because, I mean, I don't really blame her so much because she spent most of the shoot by herself, just on a green screen stage, like with, giant props. And apparently she was really difficult to deal with, so they nicknamed her Tinker Hell, which is like the easiest joke to. I mean, it's the right.
Oh,
It's the
dear.
easiest joke to go to.
Why? Because she was a pain in the ass
Yeah,
while they
she
were
was a
filming?
pain in the ass. She had an assistant whose job was to do nothing but clean the bottom of her feet.
What?
Because she's
What?
because she spent the entire shoot barefoot.
Oh, please.
She spent the entire shoot barefoot.
Clean the bottom of her feet.
Yeah,
Oh,
she had
God.
an assistant whose sole job was to clean her feet.
Oh, please. Okay, now whatever
You look so angry.
Whatever I used to think about her as a person and an actress just went down like 30 or 40 notches
Wow.
because that is so silly. Anybody
guess.
who
I mean, I can understand
I
that for like the
can't
flying
imagine-
sequences, though. Like you can imagine that's necessary for the flying sequences, but I don't know like to what extent that job. I don't know if it was between takes. Julia Roberts like the camera's not going to see the bottom of my feet, but clean them anyway. I mean, I can't say that.
I can't imagine ever being in a position in my life, no matter how wealthy I was or how famous I was, that I would allow someone else to clean the bottom of my feet. Unless I was like going to get a pedicure or something like that. Like
Like if you were paying for it.
yeah, like I was paying a bunch of money for someone to,
Well,
do that as their-
To be fair, that person, it was their job. They did get paid to do it.
I'm sorry. It's just silly.
Yeah, I guess it is a little silly.
It's really silly.
This song right here that I've been singing around the house recently because I've watched this a couple times in preparation, is the only song left over from when this movie was conceived as a musical. It was supposed to be a musical, and this I think only 10 songs were written before that idea was scrapped. But this song, made it into the
I think in the
finished product.
50s there was that's when the musical stage version of Peter Pan got popular,
Oh, really?
and I'm pretty sure that that's still to today is the more popular staged version. Like they don't do the original
Oh, really?
in the States at least.
This musical was written by John Williams and he had a lyricist as well that worked on him with it. So I don't think it was.
He's smoking 2 cigars at one time.
Yes, because he's Captain Hook. Yeah, I'm curious as to what this would. I think that a lot of the cartooniness and kind of the setty nature of, all of these sets and whatnot could be forgiven if it were a musical. Because with a musical, you allow your suspension of disbelief to be stretched a little farther, because then you have to believe that this is a world where people break into song, right? I think that's just kind of a rule of musicals. So, 3 moons. That's
There are 3 moons.
The tides must be just hellish.
Yeah.
I mentioned the twitch earlier. This is the twitch, one of the twitches. So he does that little hook twitch when they're chanting his name, and he can hear this watch in his sleep, and his mustache is twitching. I think they go with this kind of Captain Hook has like a nervous thing, like he's reactionary kind of person. I love that he sleeps with his hook on, even though it's removable. It just seems really, just for the visual of him taking the cork off the end of it. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But this is something that I think makes Hook the better character of, Peter Pan and Hook, which I don't think you can argue that much, because it's absolutely the case. But Hook has an irrational fear of clocks, based on the fact that he spent, basically the entirety of the story, the original story, in fear of a crocodile that had eaten a clock at some point and that ticked and kind of, warned its coming.
No, well, it's also the
way.
crocodile that took his hand, right?
It is the crocodile that took his hand. Well, it didn't. I think Peter Pan cut off his hand and fed it to the crocodile.
Oh, dear.
Is that right?
I don't know.
I think that's how the story goes.
Wow.
Peter actually cut off his hand.
That's
Brutal.
kind of
brutal. Yeah.
man.
Yep.
Not such a nice guy now.
No, it's not, but they even reference stuff like that. He says that in this movie, and the Lost Boys even say that they kill pirates. Like, they expressly state that it's what they do. The Lost Boys kill pirates. And then, of course, Peter says, I'm not a pirate. As a matter of fact, I'm a lawyer. And then they say, kill the lawyer, and they chase him around the Lost Boys' hideout. This is a place that Hook referred to as the museum, but it's just storage for
Clocks.
Dead clocks. He doesn't allow clocks to tick in Neverland, and if he finds one that works, he kills it and puts it in the museum. Did we miss the reaction? Yeah, this right here. Oh my God.
The kid. Oh my God.
I think that's a really, really excellent delivery from a kid who's obviously watching a very deranged person like act out their irrational fear, their obsessive compulsion, if you will. And he destroys his watch that tied him to his father, and this starts the process of him distancing himself from his father, to the point that he totally forgets who his dad is. Yeah. Which I feel is supposed to be kind of a magical thing that happens in Neverland, but it's still a little crazy. There was a shot in there that reminded me of the Brain on Drugs PSA from years ago. This is your brain on drugs. And this is what your family goes through, and this is what your friends go through, and all that. Like, there's a shot, I think, of her like looking in the reflection of something in the commercial or in the PSA, and then she takes the frying pan and smashes it after she delivers her line. And I think they copped that for this scene right here.
Okay, where he's smashing the clocks.
Or he's smashing the clocks, and he you see his reflection in the face of a clock. He delivers a line and then smashes it.
The kid does a pretty good job crying here. I mean, so many times when I watch kids cry in movies, it's just like, oh.
Well, Spielberg,
that's the best they could
Spielberg
do.
knows how to. I mean, I don't know who his casting director is, and it may very well be the same person every time, but Spielberg works with a lot of kids in movies. It's one of the things he does because he
makes so many of these.
He focuses on families. Yeah, like
movies.
That's one of his things is he focuses on.
Is he the one?
Family.
Was it Spielberg that we were watching the TV show we just started? Amazing Stories?
Yeah, we watched the first episode of Amazing Stories.
Right.
He was I think he created that show and was definitely an executive producer on it. It was kind of his baby.
Yeah,
as
and
I
it was
understand.
like the most Spielberg-y Spielberg.
Oh, so much.
Except like
Spielberg
on a TV
light. It was Spielberg
TV
light.
budget.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But despite the fact that Spielberg works with kids so much, he apparently said in an interview at some point that the Lost Boys were so unruly and rebellious on this set that after he made this movie, he for a brief time, he decided that he didn't want to have any more kids because he said it was that hard to deal with.
Like his own children have any more kids? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, he didn't want to have any more kids of his own because the kids on this movie were so hard to deal with.
Oh, dear.
But to be fair, he had to work with a lot of kids.
There were a lot of kids, and they're almost all... Are they all boys? Except for the one little girl, for the daughter. They're all boys, aren't they? Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
It's
rough.
That was a set.
That's got to be rough.
Oh, my gosh. There must have been so many people while making this movie that were just, like, child wranglers that just like ran around trying to get the kids to do what they were supposed to do when they were supposed to do it.
I think this is where the movie jumps the shark for me. This is the ones, if I had to remove any one scene from this movie, even though the beginning is way, way, way too long, I think this baseball scene is really stupid and terrible.
Yeah, I don't remember this. I don't remember this at all.
It's really bad.
So I guess, I mean, obviously it's because, Peter Pan didn't go to his kid's baseball game, and so Hook is going to his baseball game.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So,
I mean, he's making a point.
yeah,
like,
obviously.
I get it. Like, it makes
but
sense.
I think it would have been better done in just some kind of analogy way or something like that instead of
Analogous.
yeah.
Is that the word you're looking for?
Analogous. That's
Yeah, I think so.
Say analogous
Yes, I think so.
in some kind of analogous way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Some kind of
no,
way
I
with
totally
an analogy.
agree. I agree with that.
Then just like right out, just having him go to a baseball game.
Have him do something more pirate-esque, like learn how to sword fight or something like that. And
I mean, because that's way cooler than baseball, right?
Be part of a sword fighting competition or something. And Hook is there for his competition and cheers him on. And it reminds Jack of, the baseball games that his dad wouldn't go to. I think there's a way to sell it.
Yeah, instead of directly.
Instead of doing cartoon pirate baseball.
Right.
But then you've got this little moment where the Pirates mess up home run Jack and they have run home Jack. And it's like, wah, yeah, we get it. But, nah. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of this scene. And the baseball team's name is the Pirates.
Wow, that's clever.
What was the other team's name?
I think it was also the Pirates, but just in
the
a
white
different
Pirates
color
and the burgundy Pirates.
Shirt.
Yeah. Looks like Smee put a little stink on that one. Isn't that something they say in baseball?
I don't know.
I don't know sports.
A little stink.
Can't you put a little stink on it?
I'm not gonna say that it's not
You
possible.
were a bowler. Would you say that in bowling?
Never.
Put a little stink on it.
Put a little stink on it?
Yeah.
No, we never talked about putting a stink on anything.
Well, I
Put a
don't.
little stink on
I don't know sports. Two things I don't know. I don't know space science and I don't know sports. And then next episode I'll prove I don't know something else until
you just list everything.
Until I list everything and our listeners are like, wow, he doesn't know anything. But I think that the moment that scene brings us to is that, Peter sees how close Jack and Hook have become, and now he is more determined than ever to become the Pan.
The Pan. Have we talked about his name yet?
Peter Pan?
Mm-hmm.
No.
About the origin of his name?
No, go ahead. I'm sure you've got notes on it.
I do. So, okay, but I mean, very briefly, the story of how the Peter Pan story started was that Mr. Barry was friends with a woman whose husband died, and then she shortly died, not shortly, within a few years, she died of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And she had some little boys. I don't know how many.
Mm-hmm.
And he used to tell them stories about this character he made up called Peter Pan. And that's how it all started, as I understand. And so the name comes from Peter, which was one of the little boys. He eventually, after his friend died, after she died, he became like the unofficial adopted father.
Oh, okay, I see.
He unofficially adopted the kids. One of the boys was named Peter, and then the Pan comes from the Greek god.
Oh,
Pan.
okay. Well, yeah, I believe in the original story he also plays a pan flute.
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense
Right.
then. So, do you know anything about the god Pan besides like the image of him playing the flute
He lived in the woods and he played the pan flute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
He's
really.
the one who has like animal legs, like goat legs,
Oh, okay. Kind of like a fawn
like
from
a fawn, yeah.
from
Or
the Narnia.
How do you say satyr?
Yeah, satyr or
Or
fawn.
like
Okay.
a satyr or a fawn. So this Pan is a god of. Once you hear this, you'll start to make more sense of the character. God of nature, hunting, rustic music, shepherds, flocks, goats, mountain wilds. But one of the interesting things is he's often associated with sexuality.
Wow.
This god specifically, he's very deeply connected to fertility and the season of spring. Now, what's really interesting to me about that is that at the end of the play, he tells Wendy that she decides to stay in real world with her mommy, and he tells her that he's going to come back every spring for her.
Oh, I see.
He says specifically he's going to come back every spring.
Interesting.
I think that is, I mean, obviously there's
It's telling.
a connection there.
Yeah.
Which, again, somehow in my head it ties into this whole thing I have where it's like he's not sexual, like in the extreme, where he doesn't recognize it when all these women are romantically interested in him.
Antisexual or something.
Yeah.
Asexual, maybe.
He even in the, I remember this a lot in the animated version where Wendy plays the mother figure. She pretends to be mom to the little boys. And he even refers to her as his mother, which would make it, not sexual, you would hope. But then at the same time, he kind of plays the father figure to the kids as well.
Yeah.
But while he's calling her his mother.
I mean, this movie certainly drives the father figure image home because, whereas, I mean, if you could read that into the Peter Pan character from the original story, you certainly can, because him being a father is his, it's the crux of him becoming Peter Pan because it's his happy thought. And he's about to discover that in this scene right here. He's discovered Wendy's house from, the original story, and he's down here talking to Tinkerbell, and he's remembering everything.
And apparently this type of house, this type of little house that was built is still referred to as a Wendy house. A Wendy house is a thing.
Oh, interesting.
It's a thing that's
Is it
been
built
around for
into
like
a tree or something
years.
like that?
I don't know.
Because that's what it looked like.
But there is a thing called
A Wendy house.
Interesting. And it came
It might
from,
be the layout,
from this.
like it's got a central, like an atrium, and then like chambers off to the side. Maybe, I think this one's built into a tree. But yeah, he's remembering all of this stuff from when he's a baby. Like he even makes a comment about how he didn't want to grow up, so he decided to run away. And then this moment right here when the carriage.
So the
rolls
carriage, he decided that the carriage was going to roll away?
As an infant, he decided to
I don't know.
away.
I'm getting more of a feeling about like, a child dying or something like that.
Yeah.
Tragically.
He says, so I ran away. It's like, did you guys even read the script before shooting this? Like he's an infant. He can't decide to run away.
So you came and saved me and brought me to a place where I would never grow up, except that I had to grow up enough to not be an infant anymore.
Right. Well, and that's another thing is that he's going off to Neverland, but then he comes back. Oh, this 5-year-old version of Peter Pan right here is one of Dustin Hoffman's kids. It's the third one.
He's cute.
And then this is the older version. The official Peter Pan of the original story, I guess.
There is another possibility about where the character came from, not the name, but where the like motivation for creating this character came from. Barry had a brother. Mr. Barry had a brother.
This is Gwyneth Paltrow, and you know her.
Oh.
Because you would probably know her best as Pepper Potts.
She's really young here.
From the Iron Man movies.
Always in the spring. Did you hear?
Yeah,
he said, I came back many
all,
times for Wendy, always in the spring.
And she's about to introduce him to her granddaughter, Moira. But in the book, it's Margaret.
In the book, Wendy's granddaughter is Margaret.
Right. Wendy's granddaughter is Margaret. And as he does, like you said, I guess, as he does with Jane, Wendy's daughter, he also takes Margaret back to Neverland and gives them all their, justly due adventure or something. But in the movie version, he decides to stay behind. He sees her and he falls in love with her and decides to stay behind.
So what I was saying about the motivation for creating this character, part of it was,
She's got Beatles stuff all over the walls.
when I see here, I keep getting distracted because this is what I'm talking about. I couldn't stand for my granddaughter's heart to be broken. No thimbles. Don't do the same thing to my granddaughter.
No thimbles,
that you
no
did,
games, none of
that you
none
did
of this
to
little
me, that
goofy-
you probably did to my daughter, that at least in the play version, that you did to my mother.
Yeah.
Like,
So he decides to stay behind. He
And
stays
grow
in
up.
the real world. Which I think is
which is
better,
distinctly
yeah.
related to sex. Like this, like it,
Sure.
it right there. That is like he gives her a real kiss.
Yeah.
He grows up. And by grow up we mean literally he becomes
A man.
a man in like these sexual terms. Like he,
Oh, sure. He allows himself to sexually mature, and then
Right.
he has a relationship with her, and then he's a father. And this is his happy thought, and this is what he's been searching for this entire time in Neverland. And even though he seems to have been able to discover his, childishness again, it's being a father and the adult responsibility of being a father and the happiness that comes along with that is what he actually needs. So he's flying now, or he's floating. But this is, again, I mentioned the moments, like how this movie sells its moments, and this moment right here when he flies like through Neverland and through the Lost Boys, hideout, and they're all ringing the bell and they're saying "Pan's back, Pan's back." It's just,
Yeah.
I love this moment.
well, and you've got the score
And the
beneath
score,
it too.
yeah.
That just
The score is really, really great, and I love it. But just like we talked about with Danny Elfman a couple of episodes ago when we were talking about Beetlejuice, I feel like Danny Elfman is derivative of his own work at this point. But he started that cycle, he started that process much, much earlier than I think John Williams did, because everything before Hook, I think, is very distinct and unique and its own kind of thing. Like you've got
like name some
Jaws.
Wars.
Star Wars, Indiana Jones. Like they all sound like John Williams, but they don't
but they sound like Star Wars,
Right.
Jaws, Indiana Jones.
they have their own identity.
But this you can kind of hear.
You can hear Harry Potter in it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
know?
say earlier, is that I was hearing some
Especially
Harry Potter.
with the pirate stuff. Like I think that this is the
I was
point in
hearing-
which John Williams has kind of started recycling his own stuff. There, one of the themes even starts the exact same way that the Harry Potter theme starts, with the dun 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 dun, like that,
Yeah,
and then it
yeah.
changes with the same. And it's not just the notes. I grew up in a musical family, and I've got a history of music. It's not just the notes, like it is the atmosphere of the music, and he uses the same instruments. Like it sounds like the Harry Potter
the same
theme song.
crescendos, the same
Right.
everything about it. Yeah.
But yeah, this like I said before, he's in his signature Peter Pan outfit now, and they've got his hair done up in a really weird way, kind of like a like a.
I don't think the outfit's that bad, though. I mean, it could have been awful.
It could have been bad, but he does. I think Kevin Kline would have looked better in the suit. I like Robin Williams, I do, but I think I would have rather had Kevin Kline in the finished product, but not David Bowie in Captain Hook's role. Dustin Hoffman all the way. He is the Hook, just as
You are the Pan.
just as Rufio says, "You are the Pan." Is Pan a title?
I don't know.
Would that make Rufio, up until this point, Rufio Pan? That-
Oh, another note about Pan as a deity that's pretty important to this. Pan was, to the Greeks, to the ancient Greeks, he was a god. He was the god of theatrical criticism. So somehow connect that into this being written first as a play.
This should, yeah. You could tie that into that, or you could say that it's just kind of a built-in middle finger to the critics that panned this.
But
That, no pun intended, panned this movie when it came out.
Okay, no, but then think about how you've talked as you've been reading Peter and Wendy. You've talked about how sarcastic it is.
Relentlessly sarcastic.
Like just over the top. Like, I mean, everything. They're named the Darlings.
Yeah.
Like Mr. and Mrs. Darling.
They have a dog as a nurse and they treat it like a person. Like it's just another... And they kind of lament at some point. They're like, if we had only had a person as a nurse and not a dog. It's like, well... Without the appropriate context, I would have never known that Nana was anything but a person, but she is in fact a dog. And Tinkerbell has his driver's license and his credit cards and stuff in here, and his pocket change hanging in her apartment, and his car keys.
That's a little creep.
She is living inside a shrine to Peter Pan.
Yeah.
This is the moment we were talking about earlier where she makes a wish because I guess she can do that. I don't know. And changes clothes into the dress that she was wearing in the previous scene, even though she was wearing her pixie outfit in this scene. She breaks her house.
You broke your house.
And she becomes big, and his delivery here is really good. You're humongous. But, I mean, this is, another
she says
thing.
This is the only wish I've ever wished for myself.
Okay.
So we can assume that fairies get to make a lot of wishes, but she just happened to make this one for her.
Yeah, this is another thing that... So she kisses him because...
If we're counting all the mermaids, this is like the fourth woman that he's kissed
that he's
in this
had
movie.
His mouth on. I mean, you don't know. He could have been going to see those prostitutes, between scenes.
What?
And this... He remembers his wife. He remembers his kids. He wants to go and save them, and he remembers like his purpose of being here. And as a kid, her telling him to go save his kids, she calls him a silly ass. She says, "You silly ass, go." When I was a kid, I was like, she said ass. Why did she say that? In the book, Tinkerbell calls Peter Pan a silly ass all the time.
Really?
That's just that. This is a callback to the book. She says it just there.
That's
you
cool.
Silly ass, go.
That's cool. That justifies it a lot more. Not that I love that where he jumps through the thing and gets armor on. Not that I need justification for the word ass in a family movie, but yeah, I remember as a kid kind of being like, what? They use the A word.
I really hate that we never get a really good shot of this ship.
Yeah.
Look at this.
Yeah, it's really...
Isn't it obvious? And this is he's dressed in the same clothes and everything as Captain Hook.
This is what I remember.
This is...
when Jack has all the Captain Hook stuff on.
Yep.
And they're going to pierce his ears.
He's going to pierce his ear with his hook, with his own hook. Look how big.
That would be awful.
The line he says, "And brace yourself, lad, because this is really going to hurt." It's good.
I remember that as a kid really bothering me.
Peter Pan cutting his shape out of the sail is something he does in the original cartoon, at least, right?
Yeah, I remember it from the cartoon.
I wonder if that's even a callback to the book, if he does that in the book as well. He even took the time to cut out the little armholes.
Yeah, I was going to say, when did that happen?
Yep. So, 3 days have passed. Peter has become Peter Pan, and this is the big swashbuckling finale, which actually has some pretty good action in it. I think it's a nice little wrap up for this movie, and it doesn't get really good until Pan and Hook start fighting. but their sword fight is very like old Hollywood swashbuckling Errol Morris kind of, good stuff. With lots of little callbacks to the book, of course. And that smile, Dustin Hoffman's smile is just
Good form.
good form. Just shouting good form like a maniac. It's very, very, and appropriately so, it's very theatrical.
Yeah. Appropriately so.
Those
yes.
lines right there were basically right out of the book, as I understand it. The dark and sinister man, have at thee. And then he starts fighting the pirates. Man, this theme song, it's great.
Yeah.
It is really, really great. And
This is the part of the score that is distinctly Peter Pan.
oh yeah, it's very. It sounds like an adventure movie. It sounds like a swashbuckling adventure movie. It sounds like pirates and stuff to me.
Almost has a little like Superman in it.
Well, John Williams did Superman as well. He did the score for Superman.
Well, then that's where I'm getting it from.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And there's some. So the Lost Boys. The Lost Boys have not shown up yet, but the original Lost Boys, we've talked about Toodles. They had names, and they were Slightly, Toodles, Nibs, Curly, and then the unnamed twins. And the twins show up in this movie, and Toodles is in this movie as the old man. But the other Slightly, Nibs, and Curly. Oh, and also all of their names are carved onto the outside of Wendy's house. You can see it when he discovers their house.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I read something about Slightly was the only one who remembered his last name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's like something. It has something to do with something he found
That's
on him. Or
that's
something.
a recurring thing.
Slightly spoiled or something like that. Slightly, I don't remember.
That's a recurring thing that seems to be part of Neverland's lore. The rules of Neverland is that the longer you stay in Neverland, the more you forget about your life. Which makes me wonder, was Captain Hook born in Neverland? I mean, he couldn't have been. Because if you don't age in Neverland, then I guess no one's born in Neverland. Unless, of course, they are and they stay a baby forever.
Well, I mean, the pirates, have to keep appearing, right?
So when the pirates go on adventures, is that when they age? Is when they're away from Neverland? Like on, I guess, doing piracy? Smuggling stuff?
I don't know. I think we're thinking too hard about it.
Yeah, almost definitely. Which I have I have a bad problem with overthinking movies sometimes. I think we did the same thing with Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Where we're just sitting talking like, what are the rules of this world and what do they mean? What are the implications of whether or not Beetlejuice is this or that or whatever? And
but this is Neverland. Like, so much of it doesn't make any sense whatsoever besides just, like, why are there Native Americans there? You were talking about this when you were reading the book. There's no America. They call them Indians, don't they?
They do. They actually refer to them as Indians in the movie as well once. Of course, none of them show up, but the quote-unquote...
In this movie?
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
Tinkerbell refers to them before they go off to Neverland, before she takes Peter to Neverland. But yeah, like, of course, calling a Native American an Indian is not politically correct because they're not from India. It's not that it's not politically correct. It's just ignorant.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Dumb.
It's something you don't do. But the characters that are referred to as Indians in the story are made up to look like or presented as Native Americans.
Yeah.
But this is Neverland. This isn't America. So were they taken from America?
Like, where are they from?
Where are they from?
Where is this supposed to be? Why are there pirates here? And it just comes back to, it doesn't matter. This is a little boy's fantasy. It's a little boy's fantasy world, which is there are no parents, and there are pirates, and there are Indians.
And this is presenting it as a cartoon. For Christ's sake, The Lost Boys are fighting pirates that have real swords and real guns.
And they're fighting them with things like an egg gun.
Right. These are basically weaponized versions of Home Alone pranks.
Yeah.
Like the booby traps in Home Alone made portable.
Or like they're
Essentially, that's what they
spraying
are.
like jelly or something. I don't know what that is.
Something that clearly burns their eyes.
But doesn't, have any severe negative effects.
Right, and I don't know if we've missed the scene yet, but there's a shot where a group of pirates are surrendering to the Lost Boys. I'm just like, why? Why are you? They've got eggs.
They're kids.
They've got eggs and marbles and paint.
Like
and
this movie could have gone so dark so fast. We could have just had like children dying horribly.
It's about to get a little darker than that should. Do you remember what happens?
No.
You don't? Oh, this will be interesting. The character of Toodles. Steven Spielberg actually wanted Richard Attenborough to play him. I'm reading some of my notes here. He was Hammond from Jurassic Park, the old man from Jurassic Park.
Oh, I think I remember what happens.
But he was directing Chaplin at the time, so he couldn't do it. I think that would have been interesting, but I like the actor who plays Toodles in this a lot. I don't know his name. He's probably a very famous British actor that I'm not doing justice to right now by forgetting his name. But I think he does a really great job because he seems legitimately crazy. I think at one time I thought this pirate was Eric Idle.
I love that little girl's delivery. Daddy! Daddy!
Yeah, I think at one time I thought the pirate that Peter was fighting there was Eric Idle, but I don't believe it is. Not that I'd be super surprised if it was, because this movie has a bunch of needless cameos. But yeah, so he gets his daughter back.
Did John Williams do Home Alone?
Did he? Yes, yeah.
Because I just heard a bit of theme there that made me think of Home Alone.
Oh man, I don't know. It was John Williams or Alan Silvestri. I think it was John Williams, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Oh, that's something I should know. This is the moment where the pirates. Okay, but in this scene, the Lost Boys have swords, and of course Rufio's fighting with a sword. But the Lost Boys had swords in that scene. They all had swords, and the pirates surrendered to them. Even though the other Lost Boys are fighting with, poultry. Looky, looky, I got hooky. Oh, no. No. Oh!
No!
Green, that green screenshot was a little rough.
Yeah, that's what I was saying no to. I wasn't saying no to Rufio.
I think his name is
dying.
Dante Basco, I think is his name. His delivery here, I wish I had a dad, ... like you. Until, seriously, last week, I totally misread the meaning of, because of the space in there, because of the ... I totally missed the meaning of that. And until a week ago, I thought he was saying, I wish I had a dad
like you had a
dad.
Yeah.
And it's because of his delivery.
I wish I had a dad.
I was thinking
like
about it
you.
last week when I rewatched this, preparing. And I'm like, wait a second. Peter never talks about his dad in this movie. He talks about his mom a little bit. But his dad is never mentioned, so that line doesn't make sense at all. And then I realized that if you take out the ... it's, I wish I had a dad like you. I wish I had a father who was like you. It took me, this movie came out in 91. It took me 23 years to understand the meaning of that line.
I'm sorry for you and your
it's,
brain.
It's his delivery. I'm blaming it on Dante Basco, I think his name is. I'm on a roll with remembering actors' names, I tell you what. And I'm sure all of them are going to be so offended.
Oh, yeah.
That I did not remember their name.
Yeah.
No, that's right. Yes, Dante Basco. Awesome. And this this bit of logic here is kind of interesting because I think it makes total sense that Peter would want to walk away and not give Hook the satisfaction
Of a fight.
because that's what Hook wants. Hook wants his war. That's what he said from the very first scene that we saw him in. He says, "I want my war." And Hook's logic here is, if you don't fight me, I'm going to come back, and it's never going to stop. I'm going to come back for your kids. I'm going to come back for your grandkids. I'm going to come back for your great-great-grandkids, and you'll never be able to stop me unless you stop me right now. And that makes sense. I think both of their motivations in this moment
makes sense
make
to have
a lot
our
of sense
fight
to me. When he loses the really cool jacket, and that makes me sad. And the sparks when they hit swords is a little over the top, but
Nah.
it has to be. It has to be.
I love the dead pirates everywhere. How did they die?
Wow, I did not notice that before.
They died by chicken egg in their face. They died by jelly.
Fun fact: never pirates are allergic to egg whites. Deathly allergic. Yeah, the lines in this fight are pretty good. They're a little back and forth, which apparently was a thing that they shared on the set. I mentioned something about Marathon Man and Laurence Olivier earlier. Dustin Hoffman is kind of famously a method actor. Do you know what method means?
Yeah.
So, like, he gets into roles by doing things that are closely approximate
To that character.
Yeah. So on Method Man, he had to do a scene where he was like really drunk or something like that. So he showed up to set really drunk, and he was talking about like how he hadn't had any sleep. He was talking to Laurence Olivier about it. And he was like, I haven't had any sleep, and I've been drinking a lot, and I'm really just trying to get into this character and all this kind of stuff. And Olivier famously said to him, "My boy, why don't you try acting?" Just kind of pokes him in the ribs a little bit. And as the story goes, Robin Williams said the same thing to Dustin Hoffman when they did a scene, and Dustin Hoffman wasn't happy with the take, so he was like, "Can we do another scene?" And Dustin Hoffman, or Robin Williams rather, brings back a joke from like 10 years prior, and he's like, "Why don't you try acting?" And this little bit of bad form here that Jack gets to call Captain Hook out on. It's a little turn around. I like that. He's a good actor.
He is.
I like
He's
that
a good
kid.
child actor.
And I think
He looks like sincerely outraged right there.
Yeah. I mean, we should give a lot of the credit to Spielberg, because Spielberg is not only knows how to cast kids, but he knows how to get the performances out of kids, even really young kids. Like Drew Barrymore's performance in E.T. is awesome.
Yeah,
like, it's really, really great.
I also like Drew Barrymore. I know you're not really a fan.
You like Ever After. That's different from liking Drew Barrymore. You like the idea of Drew Barrymore.
I do not. I like her. Captain Hook is bald.
Do you not remember this? So we're toward the end of the movie. How much of this movie did you actually remember, do you think?
Like as it's going, I remembered all of it, but it's been so long that I couldn't recall. Like as soon as you were like, "Oh, something dark does happen," I'm like, "Oh yeah, somebody gets stabbed."
Someone dies, Jessica. Rufio's dead, and he's not coming back.
Well, his midriff's not coming back either, so we can all be thankful for that.
You did it. There's some logic breaking that goes on in this scene that, what are you going to do? But they're in front of this giant crocodile.
He's just a mean old man without a mommy.
That's kid logic right there.
It is good kid logic.
Spielberg doesn't really get the performance out of her that he gets out of the boy, I think.
No, but she still does a good job.
She's cute, and that's
cute.
what matters.
He's just a mean old man without a mommy.
Mm-hmm. But the face-off here is in front of the giant mutated crocodile that ate Captain Hook's hand years ago, and then Tinkerbell comes back in this moment and saves Peter Pan's life as he... Well, I guess... Did he save hers? Yeah, Peter Pan saved hers before in the original story, where he asked the audience to clap their hands.
Yeah, but only because she saved him, because he was about to drink
Oh,
poison.
right. So it's a back and forth. They do it a lot.
And she drank it for him because
that's
she
right.
didn't have time to tell him.
You're right.
And then
She
he's like,
saves his
"Clap your
life, and he
hands,"
saves her
and clap your
life, and
hands,
you know,
and Fairy
there's a lot of
doesn't
life
die.
saving going on back and forth. Which to me, like, should build a relationship. Like, I don't really understand why Peter Pan is not in love with Tinkerbell. Why he would fall in love with Wendy.
You know, at least when she gets big size, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can understand, you know,
Right.
beforehand, we got some problems. How this is going to work out.
Let's not discuss the logistics of having sex with a tiny, tiny, bug-sized person.
But, you know, when she gets all big sized, right? Like that should be
Peter Pan's like finally unzipping his pants. So this is the logic breaking right here. Is that the dead crocodile falls on Captain Hook, and Captain Hook disappears, and the croc burps. It ate Captain Hook, but it's dead.
It's a dead crocodile, so it's a very big crocodile too.
It is. And it's, if you look closely at it, it's not the greatest prop either.
No,
The
it's
arm,
really
look at
not.
the arms.
Yeah,
look at
it
those
has
arms.
like people arms.
It's really,
Crocodiles shouldn't have people arms.
it is not. It's not even a prop. That's too big. That's a piece of set. That's not the best set piece. But yep, Tinkerbell pooping on the kids. Gonna make them fly.
Happy thoughts. Think your happy thoughts.
I feel like there is a really great movie in here. Like, as much as I like the movie that we have, and probably as much nostalgia as that really is, I think there is a really great movie in here somewhere. You know, I think it's got a lot of great moments. I think Spielberg knows how to bring the family element out of it, because that's really his strong
sorry.
suit.
I love the compass in the water.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
I mean, Spielberg really knows how to bring the family element out of it. He knows how to sell those moments that I keep talking about, like those really great moments that you're like, okay, this is why I watched a movie like this, or this movie in particular. And I think that there's a really great movie in here. But I don't think this is a really great movie. No, like I
know exactly what you mean. I agree with it. I mean, there's so many times in this movie, just over the course of sitting here watching it and not really remembering it. I mean, there were times when I was just like, oh, please, that's really bad. And then there are other times where I want to cry because it's so sweet. So it really, and not like it's drastically bad in any part, because it never goes that far, but yeah, there are some moments where, I mean, even just the jokes, like there's some great jokes in this movie. The apostrophe joke that
some of the performances are really amazing.
Good.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like, you've got the Mighty Mouse line and just like some other stuff in there.
Wow, bringing that back.
Right, but I mean, it was standout bad, like super cheesy, and not in a good cheesy kind of way. Just like unfortunately cheesy.
Yeah. I don't like Julia Roberts very much. I think she's fine in the role, but Carrie Fisher was apparently originally cast, and I think that she could have pulled off the no pun intended. I think that's why it's called this, so it can't be a pun. The pixie cut, the haircut. I think she could have pulled off the pixie cut better.
Does he? So
look the part at least.
So okay, I'm sorry. I don't remember the ending to this movie. The little Lost Boys, he just gave them his sword and he left? And that's it? He just leaves these boys there?
Yes, he puts Thudbutt in charge.
Okay, but he's an adult man now, and he just left a bunch of orphan boys in this world. Like, right after Rufio dies and is saying that his dying wish is, I wish I had a dad.
Ever thought of
and
the implications
he just
of that.
left these little boys there. I mean, think of the little boy who was touching his face. He left that little boy there. That's really terrible.
I have never thought of the implications of that. Well, okay.
Like, I'm
all
really
right.
upset right now.
It makes it better because Toodles goes back. So
Okay, yeah, but still, Wendy runs an orphanage, right? Or that's a wing
Yeah.
of this place. I mean,
she's.
these little boys should come home. He's an adult man. He's a father.
You're about to cry.
I'm really upset about this. He left those little boys there. That's terrible.
It is. I've never thought about that. The implications of that are really kind of shitty, aren't they?
Well, I mean, some of the older kids, like, I'm not that torn up by it. Oh, they still want to be... But some of those kids were pretty young.
Yeah,
They were pretty little boys.
that's true.
And as someone who works with young children on a daily... I'm a kindergarten teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So
this moment right
I
here.
can't imagine leaving small children anywhere.
This actress's performance here is awesome, where she just collapses.
Yeah, because she
and
sees her
loses it.
children.
Yep. Really, really good stuff. Man, Spielberg, he gets great performances out of his actors. He really knows how to sell that stuff. What's her name? Caroline Goodall. Caroline Goodall. Yep.
And look, here's a statue of him playing a flute here.
Pan flute, I
Is
think.
that a pan flute, though? I thought
I
pan
think-
flutes were short.
I think they're usually depicted as being short and having many
Yeah,
flutes,
that's
but
what-
I think that one had 3 and it was longer. But yeah, for whatever reason, his kids get to fly back home and he wakes up next to a statue of Peter Pan and then
And
sees
Smee?
Smee cleaning up
What?
bottles. And
Having trouble with the missus.
I don't know what that implies. Does that imply that, like, and that's that's another thing. You see the kids fly back in, and they're home, and you see him wake up and see Smee, which immediately is like, oh, it was all a dream. But then he sees Tinkerbell, and then maybe he's like, oh, maybe it's not a dream. And then she makes a comment and says something along the lines of, that place between being asleep and being awake? That's where I'll be waiting.
That's where I'll always love you, and that's where I'll be waiting.
Yes. So was it a dream or wasn't it a dream? Was it or wasn't it? And then at the end of the movie...
But if it was a dream, then his kids were mysteriously missing for multiple days.
Right. And what?
And also there
where
was
were they?
Hook scratch marks all through the house.
Oh no.
It says Nana 9.
Nana 9.
That is awful.
That is terrible.
Oh my God. It does say Nana 9 on the doghouse. So they just keep getting dogs and just naming them the same thing over and over.
That's terrible. You are Nana Mark 9.
Every 10 years or so.
And after you, there will be a Nana 10, which means you'll be gone. That's terrible. But, if you think about it, that's how we used to name humans also.
True.
And some people
True.
still name their humans
True.
that way.
They name their humans that way.
So now he's super dismissive of Brad. And he's like, what? I gotta climb a drain pipe. What? Because I ran out of pixie dust. I can't fly.
I
Also-
can just talk to normal people
Also,
this way.
the implications of him talking to his business partner about pixie dust and he ran out of it and he has to fly and he's climbing a drain pipe and he's clearly going through a nervous breakdown. I don't think that bodes well for his future as a, mergers and acquisitions lawyer.
Now I'm funny, Robin Williams. Not the mean, grumpy one.
I don't see this one keeping his job.
No. Nah, he's gonna lose it.
He's like they're gonna have
They
a whole
are
lot
going to
of
be
fun.
wearing animals around their necks real soon.
Family game night with Monopoly and Clue. But bought from the secondhand store.
And he just threw
Threw
his
his
cell
phone out the window again.
Out the window. And I mean, back then, that was like, what am I talking about? We spend $1,000 on our phones now, so
Yeah.
whatever they cost is going to be as bad as what I pay now.
That model
so.
was probably something like $600.
Yeah,
I'm
so-
sure.
So, mine may look cooler, but it was more expensive, so my joke doesn't work.
Toodles found his marbles.
Haha, lost his marbles and he found
Brought
them.
his marbles back to him. The reason I like this actor is
Yeah, he's
because
great.
I totally believe that he is nuts.
Yeah,
that he
yeah,
is a crazy
completely.
old man.
But like the kind of crazy old man that you sort of want to just hang out with for a while
Yeah.
and just get him to say funny
Like
stuff.
I think he really doesn't have teeth. I think he took out his dentures for this movie, and
That's
like
fantastic.
he's the method actor.
Yeah.
Right out of the book. Boy, why are you crying? And then he says something, really maudlin. So now it's not a dream because Toodles can fly. So what is it? Is it a dream
Oh, and
or
he
not?
just did the Peter Pan stance. Did you see that?
Oh, he did with the hands on his. Yeah, I got it. And Toodles flies away into a matte painting.
It's gonna suck when he hits it.
crashes and burns. And this shot right here, it's very that last line. To live will be an awfully big adventure. Maggie Smith even gave him a look. She's like, "Did you just say that shit? Did you just say to live will be an awfully big adventure, Peter? Did you say that?"
And the old man flies into the clock tower. Nope, he missed
At
it.
a blinding speed.
And he twirls around it. Kind
He
of
does,
looks
and
like
you
a
see-
flying squirrel.
You see the 2 stars. So what are the directions to Neverland? It's first star on the right,
Something like
second
that.
star on the right, and straight on till morning. Is it first or second star on the right?
Well, there were 2 stars there, so it's got to be second star.
Second star on the right and straight on till morning. And then the star stays and hangs out there. But yeah, that was Hook. So it's how you have some
Well,
some
there was one thing that I
questions or
really
comments?
wanted to say that I don't want to forget to say. I kept trying to bring it up, but then I kept getting distracted.
No, go ahead.
What I was going to say is what the character of Peter Pan is very likely based off of from the original play was Barry. Mr. Barry had a
Sir Barry.
Sir Barry
Yes.
had a brother, and his brother died in a skating accident. I can only assume this is an ice skating
skating,
accident
maybe.
when he was like 14 years old. And his mom was really, I mean, understandably, as any parent would be, but she was really, really messed up for the rest
Yeah.
of her life because of it.
Devastated, I'm sure.
And for some reason, not for some reason, but one of the things that apparently she was comforted by, that she, I guess, talked about or something, was that she was comforted by the fact that she could think that her son would be a boy forever.
Okay.
Somehow she got some comfort out of that in some way, and so that was probably part of what inspired him to create this character.
That's a player.
Yeah.
It's a
yeah.
womanizing.
Well, I think that's a totally different. I think
womanizing
that
young
comes
man.
from Pan, the Greek god. I think that's
Yeah.
where that comes from. The sexuality and the.
Now you say that. Do you feel that Barry actually actively was thinking of the Greek
Absolutely.
god of Pan?
Absolutely, 100%.
Really? You think so?
100%, because this is a god, like I said, he's specifically associated with fertility and with the season spring.
with the name. Okay, all right.
And he says to Wendy, "I will come back for you every spring." Obvious, it's too blatant.
yeah, I guess you're right.
It's too blatant. He is totally
I need to finish the book. I'm only a few chapters into the book, and I like it so far. It's really wordy. It's kind of it's experimental in some ways. Like there was I was telling you about a chapter the other day that's the paragraphs go back and forth without much warning at all from the night that Peter takes Wendy and her brothers, Michael and John, who are only referred to in this movie, by the way. We never see Michael or John.
Yeah, true.
The paragraphs cut between the night that they're taken before their parents leave to sometime after they've been taken, in a conversation between their mother and father, saying things like "we'll never see them again" and stuff like that. And it's interesting. Like there's some interesting stuff in the book so far. And we mentioned before, it is kind of relentlessly sarcastic. Tongue firmly planted in cheek the whole time, and it doesn't take itself seriously. Weren't you reading me some paragraph the other night about like Mr. Darling and something about his wife respecting him or something like that, and it was really right. Like something about Mr. Darling knew a lot about stocks and shares, and any man who knew a lot about stocks and shares earned the respect of women, or something like that. Some ridiculous claim. But yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying the book so far. It might take me some time to finish it because it's one of those that I'm like, I guess I'll read a chapter, I guess. And then. Do you think
you're sincerely going to finish reading it after?
Yeah, it's not that long. Yeah.
How long is it?
200 and some odd pages.
Oh, okay.
It's not that bad. But it's fun, and it's funny, and kind of funny. It's funny in that way where it's like, wow, Barry did not take this thing seriously at all. Like it really feels like somebody like writing a story orally. Like just someone being like, and then this crazy thing happened, and then of course this happened because this is the type of person that they were, and we know about those kind of people, don't we? It's very, lays it on thick. You know what I mean?
But I mean, I think a lot of stuff back then, especially, the thing about the difference in children's literature today and children's literature 100 years ago, almost 120 years ago now, was that like back then they didn't really change the tone of anything. Well, not they didn't change the tone. They didn't change the loftiness. They didn't change the air with which they spoke. They just made it sillier and more fantastical. It's like when you read The Hobbit and it's a children's book and it's but it sounds like The Lord of the Rings. Like it's not that different from it. It's just a little bit sillier. So
well, that's probably going to bring us to the end of this episode of the Popcorn Poops podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Popcorn Poops. You can also find us on our blog at popcornpoops.blogspot.com. And please subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us a rating and review if you really like us. And we've also been added to the Stitcher internet radio for podcasts. So you can find us on Stitcher as well. And so please check us out on those outlets, and we will catch you guys.
Follow us on our personal Twitter too.
Yeah, absolutely. Mine is Dusty Cram Cram.
And I'm Jesse Casper.
And we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
We are the Popcorn Poops.